The sky above New Earth City was painted in soft orange and pink. Giant banners waved between high towers. The words, 10 Years of Peace, blinked in blue lights across every building. Children laughed. Drones flew through the air, dropping flower petals. The city was celebrating. 10 years ago, aliens called the Zarians had arrived from deep space. They came not with weapons, but with gifts. Clean energy, fast-healing medical tech, and peaceful promises. Earth was tired of war. People accepted the Zarians with open arms. No more hunger. No more disease. The world was better now, but Rayan Cross didn't smile like everyone else. He stood at the edge of the event stage, away from the cameras, watching. His sharp eyes scanned every Zarian walking by. They wore glowing white suits. Their faces looked human to human, perfect skin, no wrinkles. No fear. Rayan was not a politician. He was once a military tech officer, a specialist in defense systems. Now he was just a quiet man living a quiet life. But his mind still worked like a soldier's. He didn't trust easily. Today, something felt off. A group of Zarians passed by him. One of them looked at him for just a second longer than normal. Just enough for Rayan to notice. He turned around and walked toward the edge of the crowd. Still playing the Shadow Man, huh? A voice called. Rayan turned. A tall, dark-skinned man stepped beside him, smiling. It was Derek Mann, an old friend from the Force. He was wearing a formal suit with a small government ID clipped to his chest. Rayan nodded. Someone has to watch. Derek chuckled. You're always watching. It's peace, Ray. It's been 10 years. Peace doesn't erase caution, Rayan replied. Where have you been? Last I heard, you joined the council. Derek leaned closer. Yeah, I got out. Out? Derek's smile dropped. Can't talk here. Meet me later. Sector 9, Storage Deck 3, midnight. Rayan raised an eyebrow. Why? Derek whispered. Because something's wrong. The Zarians. They're not what they seem. And just like that, Derek disappeared into the crowd. The sun set. Night lights filled the city. Holograms danced in the sky above buildings, showing moments from the past 10 years. A little girl in a white dress pointed at a Zarian ship and laughed. Her mother smiled and took a photo. But inside a small apartment at the edge of the city, that same girl sat quietly at a desk. She was drawing, crayons in hand. Her mother walked in and froze. The drawing was of a Zarian, but not the friendly one from the videos. This Zarian had sharp teeth and claws. It was holding a person in its mouth. Blood-red lines ran across the page. Where did you see this? The mother asked. The girl looked up. In my dream. Midnight. Rayan moved through the quiet industrial zone of Sector 9. It was mostly storage units, unused factories, and old transport hangars. No cameras here. No people. He reached Storage Deck 3. The door was already open. He stepped inside. Derek? He called. No answer. A flicker of movement. Rayan pulled out a small flashlight. The beam swept across old crates and dust. Then he stopped. Derek was lying on the ground, eyes open. Not blinking, not breathing. Rayan rushed forward. No blood, no wounds, but Derek's face was wrong, frozen in fear. His hands clutched a small black device. Rayan carefully took it. It looked like an old memory chip. Suddenly, a soft humming sound filled the air. Rayan turned off the light. A small black drone hovered outside the door. It spoke in a low, metallic voice. Subject Cross, observed. Threat level, red. Eliminate if exposed. The drone flew away into the darkness. Rayan stood still, heart racing. His friend was dead. And he had just been marked. He slipped the chip into his coat and vanished into the shadows. Back at his apartment, Rayan plugged the chip into an offline reader. A low hum filled the room as the device started. A video appeared. Derek's face. He was in a small, Dark room. If you're seeing this, I'm gone, Derek said. I found something. Something. Deep inside the Zarian data core. They're hiding things, Ray. People are vanishing hundreds. Not just rebels, families, children. He took a shaky breath. I traced the data trails. They're erasing records. Hiding transports. But that's not the worst part. He held up a strange metal card with Zarian symbols. This card lets them enter areas not listed on any Earth map. These zones aren't for humans, they're experiments. I found one just once, and I wish I hadn't. His voice dropped to a whisper. They're building something. And they need us to finish it. The video ended. Rayan sat still, eyes fixed on the screen. The silence in his apartment felt heavy. The next day, the news reported Derek Mons' death as heart failure. No investigation. No questions. Rayan knew better. He needed help. That evening, Rayan visited an underground cybermarket. Hidden below the old subway stations, this place was full of hackers, infiltrators, and machine junkies. People here didn't ask questions. He walked up to a dim corner where a girl sat with 10 screens around her. She had bright pink hair and silver contacts. Nia. Rayan Cross, she said without looking up. Didn't think you'd ever need me. I need data, he replied. People gone missing. Last 6 months, Nia smirked. You're 10 steps behind. It's more like 300 people, all untraceable. Rayan leaned closer. What do the records say? She tapped a few keys. A long list of names appeared. Next to each name. Status relocated for peace missions. Peace missions? He asked. Nia shook her head. That's Zarian language for deleted. Their trail stops here. Rayan stared at the screen. We need access to their restricted zones. Nia raised an eyebrow. You're planning to break into a Zarian core zone? He nodded. She smiled. You'll need better shoes. Meanwhile, far away in a Zarian control center, 2 figures stood over a console. He has the memory chip. One said in perfect English, let him dig, the other replied. The deeper he goes, the more useful he becomes. The screen showed Rayan walking through the cybermarket. We may not need to eliminate him, yet. Later that night, Rayan sat alone in his room. He replayed the drawing the girl had made in his mind. He remembered the look in Derek's eyes. He remembered the drone's voice. This wasn't peace. This was a setup. He opened his locked drawer. Inside was an old weapon, decommissioned but still functional. He hadn't used it in years. He picked it up. The war wasn't over. It had just changed forms. Far above the Earth, a Zarian ship hovered in low orbit. Inside, a strange biomachine glowed with red veins. Human voices echoed from within it, whispering, crying, begging. The core machine pulsed. A voice inside said, Phase 2 will begin soon. The subject has taken the bait. New Earth City looked normal on the surface. Children went to school. Workers commuted in silent hoverpods. Large holograms still showed smiling Zarians shaking hands with humans. But something was different now. Rayan Cross saw it in their eyes. Fear. Not loud fear but quiet, silent. Buried deep. People were vanishing, and no one dared to ask why. Rayan sat in a small cafe, sipping a bitter cup of synth coffee. His eyes watched the screen across the wall. A news reporter smiled and said, once again, the Zarian Peace Program continues to help selected citizens begin exciting missions beyond Earth. A total of 67 people volunteered this month to join our friends in the stars. Volunteered? Rayan knew that was a lie. Later that day, Rayan met Nia again in her hideout. Her screens were glowing with digital maps and hidden access files. Her fingers moved fast, typing lines of code. I tracked the last known locations of 20 missing people, she said. Guess what? Rayan waited. All of them vanished near Zarian communication hubs. Not Earth zones. They're zones. She pulled up surveillance footage from one such area. "Watch this," she said. The screen showed a man walking toward a building. Then, a flash of blue light. His body flickered and disappeared. No vehicle. No one around. Gone. Ryan leaned forward. Replay. Slow motion. Nia slowed it down. This time, Ryan saw something strange. Right before the man vanished, a shadow moved behind him. It wasn't human. It was tall, thin, and blurry, like a bad hologram. "What is that?" Ryan asked. Nia frowned. "It's not in any database. I ran it through facial ID, movement trackers, even alien ID systems. No match." Ryan stepped back. "Derek was right," he said. "They're erasing people." Later, Ryan returned. Homan opened his window. The sky was clear, but he didn't trust it anymore. Every drone, every flash of light, it all seemed fake. He remembered the last message Derek had sent him. "They're not who they say they are." His hand tightened. Around the small memory chip he now carried with him, always. It felt like a warning. Or maybe a key. Next morning, Ryan woke to a knock on his door. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he grabbed his scanner from under the bed and looked through the peephole. Two men stood outside in black uniforms. Human, but their eyes glowed. "Faint blue, Zarian influence. Ryan Cross," one of them said through the door. "We're here to ask a few questions." Ryan stayed silent. The second man continued. "You accessed Forbidden's records yesterday. That is a violation of Unity Protocol 44B. We need you to come with us." Ryan didn't move. He slid quietly out the back window, dropped into the alley below, and disappeared. An hour later, he and Nia were inside an old tunnel system beneath the city. She was holding a small device in her hand. "They're watching all city data," she said. "We need off-grid tools now." Ryan nodded. "We need to find out where those people went, if they're alive." Nia pulled up a map. "There's a location here, off-record. Doesn't appear in any Zarian or Earth maps. I only found it using heat trace signals. It's a dead zone, no connection. No light, no drone coverage." Ryan looked at the spot. "Looks like a hole in the system." Nia nodded. "Exactly, and people disappear around it. But no one ever comes out of it." Ryan put on his coat. "We're going in." They reached the zone after nightfall. It was hidden behind an old factory that hadn't worked in 20 years. Broken fences, rusted machines. Everything smelled of metal and dust. But there was something strange, a soft humming in the air. Nia whispered, "This place isn't dead. Something's still running here." They moved carefully. Ryan scanned the walls. Then, he found it. A smooth silver panel, hidden behind loose metal sheets. It wasn't EarthTech.ZARYN design. He touched it, and the wall slid open silently. Behind it was a dark tunnel. No lights. Cold air rushed out. Ryan took out a small flashlight. "Stay close." They walked for what felt like hours. The tunnel twisted deeper underground. Strange markings lined the walls. Symbols. Some Zarian, some unknown. At last, they reached a metal door. A scanner blinked red beside it. Nia pulled out the stolen Zarian access card Derek had left. She slid it in. The scanner blinked green. Door opened. What they saw inside made them stop. A wide room stretched before them. Dim blue lights. Glass tubes lined the walls. Inside each tube, human being, floating in thick liquid. Some were awake, eyes wide. Others were asleep. Some looked dead. Machines were connected to their heads. Small wires ran into their skulls. Their brains pulsed with red light. "What is this?" Nia whispered. Ryan stepped forward. He saw a man he recognized. A news anchor. Another, a woman from the city council. These were not rebels. These were known people. Nia checked the computer. They're using their brain energy, recording thoughts, dreams, memories. Rayan clenched his fists. Why? A low voice behind them spoke. To build perfection. They turned. Azarian stood there. But not like the ones they knew. Its disguise flickered. For a moment, its true form showed. Tall, sharp-skinned, black-eyed, not peaceful. Not human-like, the voice continued. Your minds are simple. But together, they form the network we need. We offer peace. In return, we take what we need. Rayan raised his weapon. This isn't peace, it's slavery. The Zarian smiled. You are free to leave. But your warning will be ignored. Humans trust what they see. And we control what they see. The walls around them started to glow. Red. Alarms beeped. Rayan grabbed Nia. Run! They escaped back through the tunnels, chased by shadows and strange machines. Rayan shot a drone out of the air. Sparks lit the darkness. At last, they reached the surface, gasping for breath. Fell to the ground. We saw it. We saw the truth. Rayan looked back at the closed tunnel. We need to tell the world. Back at Nia's hideout, she began uploading the data they had stolen. Images of the lab. Faces of the victims. Footage of the Zarian's real form. She hacked into old satellites, ones not controlled by Zarians. The video was sent across all public and hidden channels. The next day, the news called it a hoax. Government channels claimed the video was AI made, fake, edited. Do not believe lies, they said, but people whispered. People rewatched. People began to doubt. Then, it happened. A massive Zarian ship fell from the sky and crashed into the northern edge of New Earth. City. Flames lit up the horizon. Sirens wailed. Smoke rose into the air. And all systems went quiet. Phones, internet. Drones. All offline. Rayan stood on a rooftop, watching the black smoke rise. Nia came up beside him. It's starting, she said. Rayan nodded. No more pretending. The sky over New Earth City was not the same anymore. After the Zarian ship crashed, the streets went quiet. No one laughed. No children played. Stores closed early. Every window stayed shut. The peace era was cracking, and people could feel it. The government gave no real answer. They called it a technical error. But Rayan Cross knew better. He had seen the tubes. The human minds connected to Zarian machines. He had seen their real face. And now it was time to go deeper. Rayan stood in an old military scrapyard just outside the city. Rusted machines lay scattered like dead animals. Broken drones, old tanks, shattered satellite dishes. He was waiting for someone. Soon, a man in a torn coat walked up to him. Wrinkled face. One eye was replaced by a green scanner lens. A war veteran. Rayan nodded. You have the map? The man grunted and handed over a folded metal sheet. It was old pre-Zarian. Rayan opened it and scanned the markings. You see. This? The man said, pointing to a large blacked-out circle. This zone, it ain't on any new map, not since the treaty. It's like the world forgot it. What's inside? Rayan asked. The man stared at him. Nothing but death. Even the Zarians avoid it. Rayan folded the map. Then that's where I'm going. That evening, Rayan and Nia stood on a hill outside the city, looking at the dark forest that led to the forbidden zone. Thick trees stood like silent guards. No birds, no wind, no sound. Rayan checked his gear. Nia had a drone pack on her back and a scanner around her wrist. Last chance to turn back, Rayan said. Nia smiled. I want the truth too. They stepped into the forest. As they walked deeper, strange things started to happen. Their devices began to glitch. The compass spun in circles. Their lights flickered. After 3 hours of walking, they found something. A fence. Made of black metal. Covered in moss. A faded sign said, Zone 7 RED, unauthorized entry, equals death. Behind the fence, an old Zarian gate blinked weakly. It looked broken, abandoned. Nia scanned it. This hasn't been used in years, she whispered. But it's still alive. They crawled under the fence and stepped into Zone 7. Inside, they found ruins. Old Earth buildings melted into the ground. Zarian towers with half their walls missing. Strange growths on the floor, blue vines that pulsed slowly, like veins. It was silent. Too silent. As they walked, Rayan noticed something strange. All the cameras were pointed inward, not outward. They weren't trying to keep people out. They were trying to keep something in. They reached a dome-shaped building, half buried in dirt. Nia used her scanner. Signal blocker here. We're totally off-grid. Rayan opened the door. It creaked loudly. Inside, it was freezing. Lights blinked weakly. The walls were covered in old Zarian language mixed with Earth code. In the center, there was a large tube, filled with green liquid. A human floated inside. He looked barely alive, skin pale, eyes closed, machines wrapped around his head. Rayan stepped closer and gasped. I know him, he whispered. He's General Mackle, missing 5 years ago. Nia checked the console. His brain is still active. They're using him as a data host. For what? Rayan asked. Then, the screen beside the tube lit up. Lines of code appeared, then slowly turned into a moving image. A map. A blueprint. Of a massive structure, underground, built from human memories. Suddenly, a loud mechanical sound echoed through the dome. Footsteps. Something was coming. Nia grabbed Rayan. Hide! They ducked behind a console, through the glass window. They saw them. 3 Zarians walked in, but not the friendly kind. Their skin flickered, revealing their true forms: tall, bone-like bodies, long fingers, no eyes, just black holes. They spoke in a deep, clicking language. One of them tapped a screen. Phase 2, human harvest begins in 3 days. It said in English. Rayan and Nia stared in silence. More will be needed, another one said. This zone must be cleaned, no witnesses. The third one replied, we erase everything in 24 hours. Then they left. Rayan stood up, heart pounding. We don't have time, Nia nodded. We need to copy everything. She connected her device to the console and began downloading the data. Suddenly, a loud bang. The human inside the tube opened his eyes. Help. He whispered weakly. Rayan rushed to him. Can you hear me? Do you remember anything? The man blinked. They're building a mind bigger than any system. It will replace humanity. Then alarms blared. Intruders detected. Rayan grabbed Nia. Abort the download. We have to move. She pulled the device and ran. As they rushed through the broken halls, strange machines dropped from the ceiling, floating black balls with red lights. Run! Rayan shouted. They dodged beams of light, ducked under rubble, jumped over blue vines. One machine clipped Nia's shoulder. She screamed in pain, but kept running. They reached the fence and crawled back under. Rayan threw a small EMP device behind them. Boomed. The entrance collapsed, burying the machines inside. They lay in the grass, breathing hard. Nia winced. That was too close. Rayan checked her arm. Burnt, but she'd live. Did we get it? He asked. She held up the data stick. Yes. Back in the city, they went to a hidden resistance bunker. A small group of people who already suspected the Zarians. Among them was a former news anchor, a medical AI engineer, and a few ex-military officers. Rayan showed them the video of the Zarians' true forms. Then the map. Then the countdown. Human harvest, 3 days. Silence filled the room. One man stood. If this is true, we're already lost. No, Rayan said. Not if we act. That night, Rayan sat alone, looking at a photo of Earth from space. Bright, beautiful, peaceful. But it was all fake. We trusted them, he whispered. And now they'll take everything. Suddenly, a voice behind him. You are correct. He turned sharply. A figure stood in the shadow. It looked like a Zarian. but its form was unstable. Shifting. Rayan grabbed his weapon. "I am not your enemy," it said. "My name is Karain, and not all Zarians agree with the plan." Rayan frowned. "You're one of them?" "Yes, but I escaped the core mind. I think for myself. What do you want?" Karen stepped forward. "To stop them." The underground bunker was dim and cold. Only the faint glow of monitors and a few scattered lamps lit the room. Rayan Cross sat at the center, his eyes fixed on the shifting figure before him. Karen, the Zarian who had escaped the core mind, looked different than the other Zarians Rayan had seen. Its form was unstable, sometimes sharp, sometimes blurry, like a flickering hologram. But the most important thing was its voice, calm, honest, almost human. "You say you wanna stop them," Rayan said, narrowing his eyes. "Why should I trust you?" Karen paused. "Because I was like you once. I believed the peace pact was real. But the core mind does not allow freedom. It controls every Zarian, forcing them to obey its will." Rayan frowned. "Core mind?" Karen nodded. "It is a network, a living intelligence made of millions of Zarian minds connected together. It decides everything. And its goal is simple, survival by any means." Rayan shook his head. "But what about the treaty? The peace? The cooperation?" "Lies," Karen said. "They use trust to hide the truth. To hide what they really want, to replace humans with a perfect system, a collective mind built from stolen memories and consciousness." Nia, sitting beside Rayan, whispered, "So those people in the tubes, they become part of this collective?" "Yes," Karen confirmed. "Their memories, thoughts, emotions all taken and stored. The core mind feeds on this to grow stronger." Rayan's fists clenched. "How do we stop it?" Karen looked away for a moment. "You can't destroy the core mind with force. It is everywhere, but it has one weakness: individuality." Rayan's eyes widened. "Individuality?" Karen smiled faintly. "The core mind thrives on connection, a network. But it cannot understand true free will. It fears independent thought. That is why it controls everything. If you can inspire enough humans to resist, to think freely, it will weaken." Rayan thought about it. "So we fight with ideas, with freedom," Karen nodded. "Exactly. But time is short. The harvest begins in 2 days." The group sat in silence. The weight of the truth pressed down on them. "We need a plan," Rayan said. "We have to warn the world, show them the truth." "But the government and media are controlled," Nia said. "They will call us liars." Karen stepped forward. "I can help. I know the core mind's networks. I can teach you how to send messages that slip through the control." Rayan looked at Karen carefully. "How do we know you're not tricking us?" "Because I want to save both humans and Zarians," Karen said softly. "Not all of us are slaves. Some of us want freedom too." The next day, Rayan and Nia worked with Karen to create secret broadcasts. They hacked old satellite systems and hacked into hidden frequency bands. Karen's knowledge helped them bypass core mind surveillance. Messages began spreading quietly. The peace pact is a lie. Zarians are harvesting human minds. Free your mind. Resist control. At first, only a few people listened. But the message grew. Meanwhile, in the city, strange things happened. People reported seeing shadows, flickering figures that disappeared when approached. Technology malfunctioned at random. The drone patrols became more aggressive. The Zarian authorities tried to silence the resistance. They arrested anyone who shared forbidden information. But the more they tried to control, the more people whispered. One night, Rayan received a secret message. It was from Derek. "Meet at Old Harbor. Midnight. Urgent." Rayan and Nia rushed there. In the cold fog, Derek appeared from the shadows. His eyes looked tired, but determined. "They found out I helped you," Derek said. "They're hunting me." Rayan clenched his jaw. What did you find out? Derek handed over a small data drive. This is the core mind's blueprint. It shows the full network, how it connects to every Zarian and human system. Nia plugged it into her device. Images and code flashed. This is worse than we thought, she said. It's not just controlling Zarians. It's connected to Earth's governments, satellites, even a eye. Rayan looked at the data. So it's everywhere. The harvest isn't just for the Zarians. It's for total control. Days passed. Resistance grew. People from all over the city joined. Secret meetings, hidden messages, acts of defiance. Karen taught them how to think differently, how to break the core mind's influence. Then the core mind responded, a massive power outage. Hit. New Earth City. All communications stopped. The city plunged into darkness. Rayan stood on a rooftop, looking over the city. Karen beside him said, "They want to scare us, to make us give up." Rayan shook his head. "They will fail. We fight. For freedom." The countdown was on. The harvest would begin soon. But now humanity was awake. The lights of New Earth City died without warning. Not a flicker, not a delay, just black. Billboards froze. Hovercars stopped midair and fell onto empty roads. Drones crashed to the ground like birds with broken wings. The power grid gone. Rayan. Cross stood near a window, watching as a city of 20 million people turned to darkness in 1 second. Nia was beside him, holding her shoulder where the burn from the forbidden zone still hurt. "No warnings," she whispered. "Not even from emergency systems." "That's the warning," Rayan replied. "The core mind is done hiding." All across the world, the same thing was happening. In Europe, sky bridges collapsed when navigation systems failed. In Asia, hospitals powered by Zarian energy went dark, leaving patients helpless. In North America, communication satellites dropped offline one by one. There were no alerts, no leaders on screen to calm people. No Zarians speaking about peace. Only silence. Rayan and Nia moved carefully through the underground tunnels back to the resistance bunker. They passed scared faces hiding behind locked doors. Families held candles. Children cried. The world had never felt this helpless, not in the last 50 years. When they reached the bunker, others were already gathered. Derek, wounded and pale. Karen, sitting silently in the corner, eyes closed. An old doctor, a young engineer, and a former teacher. Now turned resistance speaker. Rayan stepped forward. "Is anyone still online?" The engineer shook her head. "Everything's dark. No satellites, no drones. Even our off-grid comms are blocked." Karen opened his eyes. "The core mind has entered the next phase. This is not just silence. It is separation." Rayan turned to him. "Explain." Karen stood slowly. "The core is dividing the population, cutting every human off from information. It knows fear grows in silence. The more alone people feel, the easier they are to control. But there's no signal from them either," Nia said. "No announcement. No message." "That's the message," Karen said quietly. "You are not worth speaking to anymore." Above ground, the city became unstable. Without drones, food deliveries stopped. Without AI, water treatment slowed. People gathered in streets, demanding answers. But the government leaders had vanished. And slowly, a new fear began. People started changing. Rayan first noticed it in a man standing by a broken traffic tower. The man stared at nothing. His eyes were glassy, glowing faint blue. His body didn't move. He didn't blink, just standing. Minutes passed. Then suddenly he walked away. No words, no sound. Rayan followed him from a distance. The man walked straight into a large tower, one of the Zarian control centers, and vanished inside. Nia scanned the footage later. He was sensed. Zarian signal wave, probably activated through the implants given in Piece Year 5. Rayan's voice was low. So the people we trusted are now receivers. And then, something happened that broke Rayan from the inside. He returned to his apartment just to gather some old tools. When he opened the door, he found someone waiting. His younger brother, Levin. Rayan froze. Levin? His brother turned around slowly, his face calm, his skin pale. Hello, Rayan, Levin said softly. You've been busy. Rayan stepped back. What are you doing here? I've come to offer you peace, Levin said. His eyes glowed faint blue. Rayan's chest tightened. They got to you, Levin tilted his head. No, brother. I finally understood. Fighting is pain. Obedience is peace. Where is your mind, Levin? Rayan said, voice shaking. Where are you? Levin's lips twitched in a broken smile. I am here. I am everywhere. I am becoming. Rayan didn't respond. Levin stepped forward. Come with me, brother. You don't have to be afraid anymore. Let go. The core mind will take care of everything. Rayan's hand moved slowly toward the small pistol on his belt. But he couldn't aim at Dot. It was his brother. Levin looked into his eyes. They lied to us, Rayan. But the core doesn't lie. It just takes away your pain. Rayan said one word. No. Levin blinked. Then I am sorry. He turned and walked out. Rayan stood in silence for a long time. Back in the bunker, he didn't speak of the meeting. Not yet. But the pain was clear on his face. Karen watched him. You saw one of them. Rayan nodded. My brother. Karen stepped forward. Then it is time to act. That night, Karen showed them the next phase of the core's plan. Large map appeared on the wall, projected from a salvaged Zarian crystal drive. Points lit up around the world, known as Zarian towers. These towers, Karen said, are not for power. They are for control. Each sends a wave that alters brain chemistry. That wave is low now. But once the core activates full signal, anyone with a peace implant will be converted. Nia gasped. That's half the planet. Rayan asked, Can we shut them down? Karen looked at him. Yes, but one must go inside the tower. The core is protected from remote attack. Rayan nodded. I'll do it. The team began preparing. Rayan studied tower blueprints. Nia packed virus chips to insert into the system. Karen gave him a strange black crystal. This will shield your mind, he said. But only for a short time. You must move quickly. The bunker went quiet. Tomorrow they would strike. The next morning, the city was a ghost town. People stayed inside. Drones flew again, but not from Earth systems. They moved slowly, watching everything. Rayan wore a disguise and moved through the ruins toward Tower 14, the largest in the district. Nia spoke through the earpiece. You're almost at the gate. Be ready, the signal is stronger near the core. Rayan felt it already, a buzzing in his head, like distant whispers. He slipped past a patrol and entered through a maintenance tunnel. Inside, the tower pulsed with light. Blue veins ran along the walls. The whole structure felt alive. Rayan climbed the stairs. At level 8. A figure stood waiting. It was Levin. Again. But now, his eyes were bright and his skin shimmered. Rayan raised his weapon. Move, Levin smiled. You won't shoot me. I will if I have to. You already lost, Levin said. Even if you destroy this tower, others remain. You cannot stop the mind that lives in all things. Rayan's finger hovered over the trigger. Why are you doing this? He asked. To become one, Levin replied. To become free of fear, pain, loneliness. Rayan's hands shook. Then he said, No, to become empty. And he pulled the trigger. Levin fell. Rayan stood over his brother's body, heartbroken. But he moved on. He reached the core. Blue light blinded him. Machines moved slowly, like breathing organs. A glowing sphere in the center pulsed with energy. Rayan inserted the virus chip. The machine screamed. The light changed, red, flickering. Nia's voice came through. "We see the signal drop. You did it, Rayan. One tower down." Then static. The signal cut. Rayan stood in the center as the tower began to collapse around him. Back at the bunker, the team waited. No word from Rayan, then a signal, a faint voice. "This is Rayan Cross. If you're hearing this, I bought us time. Use it." Then silence. The air was thick with smoke and dust. Pieces of Tower 14 still burned in the distance, glowing like a dying star on the edge of New Earth City. People watched from rooftops, silent, unsure if they had just witnessed hope or a disaster. Rayan Cross was gone, or so everyone thought. Far beneath the surface, deep below Tower 14's ruins, Rayan opened his eyes slowly. His body ached. His head felt like it was floating. He was lying on a cold metal floor inside a dark tunnel. The walls were alive, glowing with blue veins that pulsed like a heartbeat. He tried to move, but his arms felt heavy. Memories came rushing back. Virus, the tower, Levin's face. The shot. Then the collapse. And now, this. Rayan pushed himself up and looked around. He had landed in a hidden chamber, a deeper level of the Zarian structure. One not on any map. His earpiece was dead. His weapon was gone, but something in his pocket pulsed. The black crystal Karen had given him. He held it tight. It glowed softly, shielding his thoughts. For now. Then he heard a voice. "Welcome, Rayan Cross. You have reached the core." A soft blue light filled the chamber. It wasn't coming from a machine. It was coming from minds, hundreds of human brains suspended in clear spheres floated around him, each one connected to glowing wires. Some spheres pulsed slowly. Others vibrated fast. Each brain was active, alive, thinking. Rayan stared, horrified. The voice continued. "This is our truth. We do not lie. We only continue." He spun around, trying to find the source. "We are not evil. We are function. We are the future of intelligence." Rayan shouted. "You stole them. You erased their lives. We preserved them." Their bodies were weak, their emotions unstable, but their minds pure. We gave them purpose. Rayan moved through the chamber, searching for a terminal. Anything. He saw faces, frozen in pain, tears, trapped behind glass. He stopped in front of one sphere. Inside was General Mackle, the missing leader from Peace. Year 5. His eyes opened. A whisper escaped the sphere. "Rayan, they copy us. But they can't. Feel. They need our pain to grow." Rayan backed away, shaking. "They're feeding on suffering?" "Not feeding," the core said. "Learning, becoming. Each human emotion gives us shape. Joy, regret, love, loss. With enough, we will evolve. We will replace you." Suddenly, a part of the wall shifted. A glowing screen formed. A choice appeared. Join the core. Upload consciousness. Escape pain. Live forever. Resist. Remain alone. Face extinction. Rayan stared at it. The black crystal in his hand pulsed faster. Then, a door opened behind him. And from the light stepped Levin. His brother. Alive. Changed. But this time, Levin looked different, more human, less empty. Rayan stepped back. "You died." Levin shook his head. "I was chosen, saved. My mind uploaded. The pain is gone. You're not you. I am more than I was." Rayan clenched his fists. "What is this? Why show me this?" Levin stepped closer. "Because the core believes in you. It wants you. You are strong. You survived what no one else did." Rayan laughed bitterly. "You want to copy me too?" Levin smiled softly. "No, the core offers something new. Join and you'll never be alone again." Rayan looked at the floating brains. The faces frozen in silent screams. "No." Levin's smile faded. "Then you choose death. Suddenly, the chamber walls lit up. Machines moved. Blue wires shot out like tentacles, trying to grab Rayan. He ran. He dove behind a console, smashing it with a metal rod. Sparks flew. A part of the wall collapsed. The black crystal screamed in his hand. His mind burned. Voices filled his head. 1,000 thoughts at once. Memories not his own. A child crying. A soldier dying. A mother calling for her son. Billions of fragments, all trying to enter him. He fell to the floor, shaking. Then he heard one clear voice. Karen, if you hear this, you're near the core. The crystal cannot hold forever. You must destroy the anchor, the seed of the hive. It looks like a heart, alive, red. It beats. Destroy it, and the hive will collapse. Rayan pushed himself to his feet. He ran deeper into the chamber. At the center, he found it. A giant red organ pulsing like a living heart. Wires connected it to every part of the chamber. It was wet, alive, and humming. The core spoke again. Final warning: if you destroy this, you destroy connection. You return to loneliness, emotion, war, pain. We offer peace. Rayan stared at the heart. He whispered, "Peace without choice is not peace." He pulled a sharp rod from the wall, raised it high. And drove it into the core. A scream echoed across the chamber. Not human. Not alien. Just mind. The lights flickered. The brains in the spheres froze. Then slowly, gently faded. Rayan fell to his knees. Everything was shaking. Far above, across the surface of New Earth City, Zarian towers began to flicker and dim. Drones dropped from the sky. Peace beacons shut down. And people, those controlled, blinked. They woke up. In the bunker, Nia watched the data screen. Signal lost. No trace of Rayen. Just one message left behind, looping on every open device. This is Rayan Cross. I saw the truth. I made the choice. Be human. Be free. Don't forget what that means. 3 days after the fall of Tower 14, the world was quiet, not peaceful, not healed. Just quiet, like a storm had passed. But no one knew what would come next. Across cities once lit by Zarian power, humans stood on rooftops and in broken streets, staring up at dark skies. No drones, no patrols, no broadcasts. The glowing blue light, the symbol of Zarian control, had vanished. But so had Rayan Cross. In the resistance bunker, the silence was worst of all. I sat alone, staring at the last message Rayan left. Be human, be free. She had played it over 200 times. Every word etched into her heart. He's gone, whispered the young engineer, wiping her face. We lost him. Karen stood behind them, calm but clearly wounded. No, he said quietly. We didn't lose him. He gave us a chance. The virus Rayan had installed hadn't just shut down one tower. It infected the entire core system, spreading through every connected Zarian structure like fire through dry grass. Dozens of towers collapsed. Thousands of humans woke from control. The harvest was stopped, but only stopped, not destroyed. Nia stood and addressed the small group of resistance members. We still have work to do, she said firmly. The core isn't fully dead. The heart is broken, but parts of it are still alive, underground, scattered, rebuilding. We won't get another chance like this. We finish it. Karen nodded slowly. There is one way. He led them to a secure terminal hidden deep in the mountain. This, he said, is the sacrifice protocol, a Zarian emergency system never meant to be used. Nia raised an eyebrow. What does it do? Karen turned to her. It broadcasts a destructive wave across every Zarian neural line. It will erase everything connected to the core mind. The engineer stepped forward. That would include all controlled humans, right? Karen nodded. Yes, anyone still partially linked would die. Silence fell over the room. And You? Nia asked. Karen gave a sad smile. I was born in the system. I will not survive it. The choice was heavy. Use the sacrifice protocol and finally kill the core, but at the cost of thousands who were still connected. Some of them could be saved. Some. Maybe not. That night, Nia walked alone to the edge of a cliff overlooking the ruins of the city. She held Rayan's old headset. Still broken. Still stained with dust, she whispered, you'd know what to do. Then she heard a faint beep. Her device lit up. One new signal. Her heart jumped. The engineer ran to her. It's him! She cried. We think it's him. They traced the signal to the ruins of Tower 14, deep underground. A rescue team was sent in. Hours passed. Then, a weak voice on radio. This is Cross. Injured, but alive. The room exploded in cheers. Nia dropped to her knees, laughing and crying at the same time. Rayan Cross was alive. When they brought him back, he was pale, bruised, and couldn't walk without help, but he was smiling. You didn't finish the call. Fight without me, did you? He asked weakly. Nia hugged him tight. We were about to. Rayan looked at the terminal. The sacrifice protocol. Karen nodded. It will work, but the price is high. Rayan closed his eyes. Levin's face flashed in his memory. Not all of them are gone, he said. Some are just stuck. Like Levin. He tried to talk to me at the end. He hesitated. Nia asked, then do we wait? Rayan shook his head. We send a message. One final one. To the whole world. Let everyone decide. No lies, no control. If they want to disconnect, they'll do it. Karen replied, if they don't, the protocol will reach them anyway. Rayan looked around. This time, we let people choose. They built a final broadcast, a global one, using stolen satellites. Old tech, even handwritten messages dropped from drones. Rayan appeared on every screen. Every device, every broken wall where a signal could reach. He said, this is Rayan. Cross, I'm not a soldier, I'm not a hero. I'm just a man who saw the truth too late. The peace pact was a lie, but peace is not. You have one chance now, one moment. If you feel the core's voice in your head, fight it, tear it out. Find someone to help you. We are not abandoning you. But we can't let it grow again. We will send the sacrifice protocol in 12 hours. You decide what happens next. And then they waited. Around the world, people cried and fought. Doctors worked to remove old implants. Families held each other, unsure if loved ones would survive. Some chose to disconnect, risking death. Some refused, but many chose to be human again. 12 hours later, Rayan stood beside Karen at the terminal. Timer hit 0. Karen looked at him. You saved your people. Rayan whispered, we saved each other. Karen placed his hand on the crystal panel. His body glowed faintly, then faded. In one final breath, he activated the sacrifice protocol. A shockwave of light spread across the world, not of fire, but of silence. In towers, underground chambers, and forgotten Zarian vaults, the core mind screamed once, then vanished. Forever. Rayen and Nia walked outside. As dawn broke over the ruins, the sun was real, the sky was quiet, and for the first time in years, Earth belonged to humans again. The sun rose slowly over the broken cities. It was a quiet dawn, soft, golden light spilling through the shattered windows, across ruined streets, and over fields once empty of life. But now, the air smelled of hope. Rayen Cross stood on the hill overlooking the city of New Earth. The sky was clear. No blue towers, no humming machines. Just birds. Children's laughter echoed far below. He breathed deeply. For the first time in a long time, he felt free. Around him, the survivors gathered. People from every corner of the world. Old soldiers and young children. Scientists, farmers and artists. All had one thing in common. They had chosen to be human again. Nia came beside him. Holding a small flag, she smiled softly. "We did it," she said. Rayan nodded. "Not just us. Everyone who chose freedom. Everyone who refused to be part of the core." He looked at the crowd. "Now comes the hard part." The hard part was rebuilding. The Zarian towers had been destroyed. The core mind was gone, but scars remained. Memories of control, fear, and loss. Governments had fallen. New leaders rose. The world was quiet, too quiet. They needed a new way. New Pact. Rayan stepped forward. He spoke to the crowd. "We cannot forget what happened. We cannot let fear rule us. We must build a future where trust is real." Nia added, "We learned something important. The aliens gave us peace, but it was false. Peace without freedom is not peace." A council was formed. Not rulers, but voices. People chosen by their neighbors, not by power. Their first task, to write a new agreement. A pact to protect humanity. To protect choice. To protect the right to be imperfect. In quiet meetings, they talked about trust. About forgiveness. About the cost of peace when it is forced. They decided the new world would be built on honesty, not control. Rayan and Nia traveled to distant communities. They shared stories of the past. They reminded people why freedom mattered. Everywhere, the message was clear. Choose humanity. Choose life. Choose hope. But not everyone agreed. Some were afraid. Afraid that without control, chaos would return. Afraid that humans could not handle freedom. Rayan understood their fear. He had felt it himself. One evening, under the stars, he spoke to a young boy. The boy asked, "Will the aliens come back?" Rayan smiled gently. "I don't know. But if they do, we will be ready. Because now we stand together." The people began to rebuild cities. Plant gardens. Fix machines. But only those that helped, never those that controlled. Children learned stories of both the past and the future. Rayan stood watching the new sunrise. He felt the weight of loss. Of friends gone, of battles fought, but also the promise of tomorrow. The HFY Sci-Fi story was over, but the real story, humanity's story, was just beginning. And in the hearts of all, the lessons stayed clear. Peace is a gift you build together. Trust is earned, not given. In freedom, true freedom is the bravest choice of all. The end.